Greetings, all greetings, greetings. I'm looking around at the world and the way things are going. Everybody in the world has got ideas about what is happening. And everybody's got ideas about how we got here. But I have to question how much they really know about what's happening and how they got here. Some would say that in 1948, a man named Ralph Bunche, a black man representing the United States at the United Nations, created what we call Israel today. Some would say that the Balfour Agreement, and they know very little about it, created the place we call Israel today. The reality is that it really didn't create Israel. We have to go way back and look at two steps, each one almost 1,000 years apart. The Romans, who scattered the last of the Israelites out of Israel. And when I say the last of the Israelites, I don't mean the last person to leave Palestine, Canaan, as you call it. The nation is known by its leaders, its royalty at the time. And at the time, the Romans got rid of the royalty of Israel. Between the Romans and the conglomeration led by the Edomites, as we call them in the Bible. Their royalty has substituted the royalty of Israel, of the Israelites, not Israel, the Israelites. You got to realize that when you read the Bible doesn't say that I bring you here and I call this land Israel and I give it to you. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that I give you this land of Israel. I laying this land Israel, give it to you. The Creator didn't make such Such a promise. He said, I brought you into a land flowing with milk and honey. And depending on what you do with it or in it will determine how long you stay here. So when the Edomites and their partners were put in charge by the Romans and the priests and all those people moved down to Egypt, Libya, Ethiopia, Persia, and Iraq. The majority of them. They scattered across the lands where their forefathers had been before. And they repeat it now. Egypt, Iraq, as we know it today, Persia, and in Persia they even went as far as India. And in Egypt and Ethiopia they went as far as South Africa. And in Libya they spread out across West Africa, down to Nigeria and Ghana. See, you read your Bible, but don't know the history, don't know the story, because it's not in the Bible. The so-called Bible was supposed to be the law, the book of the laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments. Nothing. It tells you the people who had to deal with this story. I don't normally speak this forcefully when I make a video, but today is the day that I'm not changing anything. You're just seeing what's going on. I'm just explaining something. But this thing called Israel that we have today was a long time in the making. That's what I'm trying to show you. When you hear Biden says, if Israel was not there, we'll have to create it. He didn't comprehend what he was saying. Israel was created to chaos, and they know there's going to be a time. I keep telling people, look, this is a story that is repeating itself. This thing goes in cycles. Rivers. I started talking about the rivers of people. They flow from Africa out across the world and then back into Africa again, and then back out across the world and back into Africa again. It doesn't happen overnight. Our forefathers were gone some 2,000 years from Africa. You got people in America today who says, I'm not African, I'm Indian. I'm, 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 I'm we arrived from America. Not comprehending the history. Not comprehending the history, the part of America where black people, the African descendants, were before Columbus arrived was not Canada, California, Oklahoma, none of those places. The Caribbean, South and Central America, Florida. America moved the black skinned people from Florida out across the west to Oklahoma. But we're going away from the subject, which is Israel. So that land called Israel was created, and it was a long time in the making. The Crusades just was the halfway, it's like between halfway mark. The man they called the Lionheart led a grand crusade to throw out the Muslims and create that land called Israel, recreate it. Just like Rome did. Rome kept that place at the crossroads of the world to protect the Roman Empire. Everything going east from India and China, I'm not sorry, from India, but to China and India, normally pass through that area, through Turkey and the Black Sea area, going up to China, India, and so forth. The trade coming from China passed through that area. When Khan came from China, or what is called China today, that's the area that he came through, going into Europe. That was the gateway. And the Crusaders came to guard the gateway. Don't forget they were working for the church, the Catholic Church, which was the Roman Empire, is the Roman Empire. Not only was, it is the Roman Empire now. It never ceased to exist. The man who created Christianity and the Christian Bible man you worship was a Roman, Caesar, Constantine. This story goes back years, thousands of years. The British who led the Crusades, guess who helped them? Who helped pay for their, well, they borrowed the money from the Edomite. Who came to Europe with the Roman. There was another people who came into Europe with the Muslims. Their skin was black. And they're mixed into Europe. They're mixed in with the European, with the Turks and the Spanish. A lot of them in the 1400s, 1300s married into Portuguese royalty and British royalty. And so the British now, those are lords and ladies in England with British titles whose genetics were crossed with the black skinned Israelites. And if you read their books, it will tell you. Find the closest Jewish library to you and read it. You look, oh, all the books now on YouTube, all the books now on Google. You can find it, the information. They finance. They're coming to America. The so-called two world wars. The French going to Russia. The Germans going to Russia. When I say the French, I'm talking about Napoleon. Germans going to Russia. The British and Americans going to Russia. And today, it's being financed by the US and the Saudi family. When I say the Saudi family, I don't mean just Arabia, all the Gulf states. This war against Iran is an old war. The Saudis on one branch of Islam, and the Iranians, Persians are another branch of Islam, and the Iraqis are another branch of Islam. That's their angle. I told you about the British angle, the American angle, which is to guard the gate of the Middle East. Israel have to be there to keep that power from rising up there. But also to keep Africa in the position that it is in. See, the French are being kicked out of Africa. The British are being kicked out of Africa. The closest they can come now is Israel. And I told you once before, there's a reason why the Sub-Sahara is divided between Sub-Sahara and North Africa. And nobody is trying to redeem what they call the desert, the Sahara Desert. And it's easy to do it. Because the fear of what they call Sub-Sahara Africa spreading out across Africa. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and the gang, Oprah Winfrey and all of them, are in it to keep the African genetic pool from growing. If you know that within 30 years, 50% of the world is going to be African because the Caucasian gene is dying off, what would you do? And the Arab is so mixed up in the Caucasian gene that he knows time is coming for him too. And the Africans are going to spread all over the planet. There's a book called Fear of a Black Planet. Find it and read it. They know the day is coming. Even China knew, and they didn't really want to push it. They didn't want to really help Africa. But with them being cornered, they now see that they have to. They are forced into the position that they have to. Because in the end, they're going to need Africa. And when I say in the end, I don't mean the end of time. This story that you're saying, this is just the opening salve. The Caucasian man is not going to go down without a fight. This is existential for him. It is like his genes are at stake. In the Bible, there's a story about Israel going into a city and killing everything, including the animals. That's the fear of the Caucasian. Going the way of the dinosaur. And in the end, he's going to say, you know what? Let the nukes fly. People, it's time you learn these things. Your foundation. And for all those, I'm going to repeat again, who's saying, you know, we are Jews. Be careful what you wish for. You see how the destruction is falling all over the Middle East? Now, you see the hatred that's being built for those people who call themselves Jews around the world. They're seeing how Israel is killing people. You see how the Zionists are killing people? And they're saying, we are Jews. And if you don't like, we are anti-Semitic. They are claiming it. So when you come along and you claim it, you say, you are part of them. So we're going to judge you along with them too. You never saw it that direction, did you? Father gave you a name, and it said nothing about being a Jew. This false narrative about creating a land for people who were put through a Holocaust and throughout time have been murdered and da. Bury the history. The people from Spain who got kicked out of Spain didn't look anything like them. Why they got kicked out of Germany is because when you have the means, the money, and the power over the economy that you can starve a people, at one time they're going to rebel. And just like you see it happening now, you're seeing it in your time. You're not seeing it in some history that you got to read. You're seeing Israel act now. What they're doing now, today. The next generation, when it comes along, and you don't pass it on and say, hey, we saw this with our own eyes. When the narrative start, when they come out with their narrative, and your children start believe, they were persecuted. Look how many of them. Uh, See, that's why history got to be told. It's got to be passed on. Why do you think the Caucasian man wiped our memories clean about our past in Africa? If you begin if your beginning is in the Caribbean, Barbados or St. Lucia or Trinidad and Tobago or Jamaica or Haiti, or your beginning is in America with slavery, then you're always a slave. Nobody want to hear about you because you're always a slave. The few who know what you're capable of are not going to talk. You ever heard the saying, he who knows don't talk, and they who talk don't know? That's what the position you're in now. All kind of narratives that come out confuse the situation. But you are alive today because you have to teach your children. You don't want to be the judge, that's why you stay silent. But your children's gonna have to be the judge of their children. So you're gonna have to know your history, our history, and their history. So when they come and say, we were this, oh no, 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 no. We know what you've done. Here is the proof. I hope you're enjoying your day wherever you are. Beware of your surroundings. Because with the devastation that is coming upon Israel, there is a possibility, a strong possibility, that war is going to spread into Africa very quickly. And like I said in my last video, Africa doesn't have an army that's capable of fighting even one platoon of I shouldn't say a platoon, but say America sent 100,000 people, Israel sent 100,000 military, not the civilians who make the food and all of that, the military, the guys fighting. Africa have one army that can stand up against them. And if they want to cut off China, they're going to have to take Africa. Because they're failing to take the Middle East. Watch what you do. Be careful what you do. Make plans for what you do. Peace.